we can talk. There we go. Okay, we're talking in the background here. We were just talking about the while everybody's getting settled in, we were just talking about the really great New Yorker book that Gabe talked about, and then one week, and then Liz talked about the other week. So Tom just got his copy, although there he is.
Yes.
It's you know what? The camera doesn't do the packaging
No,
justice
it doesn't.
because when I saw it in person at the store, I was like, that is a really good package. Um, so
Yeah, I'd like to even read about the package because the package is fascinating. Like
yeah,
the butterflies, there's got to be a story.
yeah, there has to be. Um, and it's huge. So how many stories have you read, Tom?
Not none yet, but I'm
Oof.
gonna try to read. Like I'm gonna set a goal for myself. I don't know, like not one a day. That's too much probably for me. But
Yeah,
I'm reading other stuff.
right. Well,
But
and I read is History of Sound your book?
yes,
Okay. So I know that, and I know Darcy, if you're on here, I know you were coming in, might not be here quite yet, but oh, do we let everybody chat, Amanda?
Yep.
Okay. Um, but Tom, I picked that I because our book, my book club that I have, each of us, there's like eight of us, I think. Each of us picks a book, like it. So this was my month to pick, and it's always so I usually try to pick books that I haven't read that
yeah,
I want to get to that are already published that I want to get to. So
that's smart.
yours,
Yeah.
I picked History of Sound.
And
So
have you read it and
oh, I'm
has it?
about halfway through. It's so
Oh,
good.
it's
And
fantastic.
Darcy, and I know Darcy and her and Dawn are like huge fans of it too. It is so good.
It's
So
one of those books that you keep thinking about after you finished, and it lingers. It's a really, yeah, great collection.
yeah. Okay, Beth's on here saying it was her, favorite
Oh,
book of the year so
fantastic.
far. So yeah,
Wow.
it's a good one. I mean, I really think it's because well, speaking of stories, so talking
Yeah,
about the New Yorker and speaking
yeah.
of stories, and it's just although I have to say, while these are short stories, you really do have to pay attention
Because of the
to
connections.
because of the threads.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
of the thread. So it's not like you're just finishing a complete story.
that's right.
While you are, there's things that, linger into the other stories. So it's a
And
good one.
I honestly can't remember, did we officially call it stories or did we sometimes we fudge that with like fiction
You
or
did call it stories.
okay,
It says right on the title. It says
okay.
in fact I could go get it, but then I have to
Yeah.
leave you. I have to leave you all. Um but it
No,
is
that's a good
stories.
one.
So
And there's
so
so
thank
much to discuss, I think.
I think so too. I mean, I'm supposed to lead the discussion, but it's just like I'm not even sure where to start. Well, I'm only halfway through, so I'll have to wait and see because it's just like you could probably spend an hour on each of the connected stories,
Yes. Yes.
dissecting them because they're just, yeah, they're just amazing. Yeah, it's definitely a reread kind of a book, Beth. So for sure. So Tom, thanks for joining us today. It's President's Day, so
Yes,
technically
it
a
is.
holiday. So, but us in the retail world we don't get normal
But
holidays.
I
We
was
get
saying before he went on, given the state of the world, I'd rather be here than just about anywhere else. So here
exactly.
I am.
So, and we'll talk about books and we'll get some good recommendations for some
Yeah.
good reading and yeah. And we're heading into next week is Winter Institute. So yeah, that's going to be so I'll be coming back with my brain exploding with all the
Oh
new books
yeah.
that are out that are coming for the fall because they typically they do fall books.
Yes.
Um
Are you
but they
going to appear live from Winter Institute?
I was
I
just
don't
thinking that.
if the timing worked because it's 6 o'clock, where I'll be at will be 6 o'clock. So I got to see what I'm doing Monday at 6
Okay.
because I could.
Won't it just be 5 o'clock?
Is it only an hour difference, Denver?
Yeah.
Oh, Denver's not 2 hours?
No, it's mountain time, so I think it should just be an hour.
It'll
Oh,
be
I could.
before you go to some glamorous dinner.
Yes.
Yeah, because I am going to a glamorous dinner.
What's in the
Um,
glamorous dinner?
well, I have really good dinners this year. I've got,
Oh
well, not that
man.
I don't always, I mean, I always have very good dinners. I
You
mean,
come
Yeah.
they
back
all
with
are.
great stories. I know that.
I know they're always, that's the fun part. They're always like, I'm missing one great dinner this year that I'm really disappointed about missing because it's always a great dinner. And
Maybe next year.
if there's somebody listening that knows what that dinner is, knows that I always love that dinner. So I've got Grove Europa on Sunday.
Oh,
Oh,
So
that'll be
yeah,
fantastic.
that's always a great dinner. And my first time going to a Simon dinner. So I'm doing that. And
wow.
then I'm going to a Harper dinner. So I'll have
We
lots
got
of
to
good
get you
things
into
to.
some PRH dinners next year.
Well, I usually am at a real, I mean, I'm usually at a really good PRH dinner. So next year. Yeah. Uh, the Playhouse by, so Don said, Tom, please tell me that my husband is reading The Playhouse by James Shapiro.
Yes. Oh, the James Shapiro about the
Right.
WPA and the theater, right? Yeah.
Right. Okay, on the
Oh,
Playhouse.
Yeah, yeah.
cool.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for
Yeah.
letting me know that. That's great.
All right. Well, let's get
Definitely
going.
parallels to the present day, but like these days you can find parallels to the present day all in all sorts of places.
Almost everywhere. And there's some things that we shouldn't be drawing parallels to.
Yes.
Like the
Julie, are there
Yalta.
any authors you're really excited to meet at Winter Institute?
Okay, so well I haven't full confession because I haven't looked at the complete author list
Oh,
because I've been like swamped with other stuff and usually that is one of the first things I do. But at the Simon dinner, Wally Lamb will be there. So
oh, yeah, yeah.
There
I
you
am
go.
hoping I have an opportunity to sit close enough to him to be in a conversation-ish.
I sat
Um,
next to him at a dinner at a Winter Institute.
did
Um,
you?
I did, and I before the dinner, I was like, "Oh my God, please, please, please don't put me next to Wally Lamb because I'm the last person on earth who hasn't read."
She's come undone. Oh, any of them. Okay.
And of course, I was next to
Yes.
Wally Lamb at the dinner, and he was so nice. He was
Oh,
so
I've
cool.
seen because Simon does this virtual like Simon Selects thing that they do and they introduce all it. So he just seems lovely
Yeah,
and so I'd love to sit and chat with him. So
How
yes,
he's
long
fun.
did
he's
it,
great.
Amanda, how long did it take for you to relax and just be like, okay, I'm sitting next to him and it's
Until
okay.
we did a round robin, they shuffled us around, but I was next to him like for the bulk of the dinner.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So until he moved on. But I mean, I always find things like even if you haven't read somebody's book, it's like, okay, let's get to where do you like to go on vacation? Where do you live? You know, there's things you could talk about that aren't necessarily their
I
book
know, and
related.
none of them would be like, "So, what did you think of my book?" None of them would
Yeah,
do that.
No,
right.
no. No, no,
You know,
I think
it's
they prefer not
unsettling.
to do that. I don't think they want to know. I don't think they want to know what they want to think about. Okay, we should probably get into talking about
One more
books.
Winter Institute thing that I'm
Okay.
excited to hear about since I won't be there. But the keynote, I think the opening keynote is Ocean Vuong,
Yes, it
and
is.
he always makes an impression. Like people walk away buzzing about his just being in his charismatic presence. So I can't wait to
Yes.
hear about that.
He was at one of the Winter Institutes years ago
Yes.
that he was I think he was a keynote, I think at that.
His
Um
his new book comes out in May if anyone's interested. Put
oh, is that
the
coming out
link.
that soon? Okay, that's interesting
Hmm.
that it's okay. Interesting. Okay.
May
All right.
13th.
May
Yes.
13th. There we go. All right. Yeah, you've got some good books there, Darcy. 3 Days in
Yeah.
June, Queens
And
of
then there's
Crime.
home
Where's
and
it?
Homeseeking too. I don't think I talked about that yet, but that's also a really good one.
Okay. Oh,
But
is it a debut? All
on
right.
my shelf, exactly.
There we go. Saw it
Now
on
look at
Tom's
all these
shelf.
older books that
I know.
these are books that I've traveled like I've moved and moved and moved and they've made the trip. Like I've culled them, but then these books still here.
So that means something. Those mean
Yeah,
something then.
to me
Yep.
it does.
Yeah, for sure.
Someday I'll get to them all.
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought too until I got diagnosed with macular. I thought, oh, well, this will be for my retirement reading. Then I got diagnosed with macular degeneration. It's like, well, I better start just finishing reading all
Yeah,
those books now.
right,
Who
right.
knows what my future reading is going to look like?
I don't know when I'm gonna get to Gravity's Rainbow, but
Oh my God. It's next,
Hope-
that's next week's reading, right?
yeah.
I love it. Okay, let's get to talk about some new books. So, Tom, Amanda's got a couple to talk about. So, Tom, take it
I'm
away.
sorry. Okay. So I don't, hopefully I haven't talked about this here yet. I don't think I have. Have I?
No, nope.
Okay, good.
Mm-mm.
So this is already one of my favorite books of the year, Stoneyard Devotional by Charlotte Wood. Um, it is the last of the last group of the group of finalists for the Booker Prize from when November. It's the last to be published in the United States. So it comes from Australia. It was published, I think, in the well, probably I'm sure it was published in the UK, and now finally Riverhead is publishing it here. Which Ron Charles in the Washington Post gave it a rave review, but one of the things he said that I thought was funny, he says last year it was a finalist for Britain's Booker Prize, and now, as though publishing were operating by steamship, Stoneyard Devotional has finally arrived in the United States. There's got to be a good backstory as to how, because usually things are published almost simultaneously all the time. But we're very lucky to finally have it here. So she's a big name in Australia. This is only the second book we've published, but she has many more books, and she was shortlisted for the Booker for this book, but she's won all the prizes in Australia. And this is about and I think maybe everything's lining up just right because it's kind of the right moment for this book because this is about a woman in Australia who at midlife who is leaving her life behind, a life of activism. And she goes back, she's leaving the city, she's going to back home to rural Australia. And she is not religious at all. In fact, she's an atheist. But she goes to an abbey where nuns are to live with the nuns, and not expecting at all to stay, but just like needing a retreat. And she ends up staying. And so the book is about that process of her changing, her changing over this period of time. And in a certain way, nothing happens. And I love books about nuns, and I also love books where nothing happens because truly there's no book where nothing happens. There's always a lot going on under the surface. And this book has three events. So she's in this place with these nuns, living a life of contemplation, thinking about her own past, her parents, her childhood. But there are three events. One of them is I'll save the worst one for last. So there is an activist nun named Helen Perry who is kind of living the life that our main character imagines herself living, and yet Helen Perry is a scary person, and she's come back to this convent for a particular reason. She's there to there is a murdered nun from decades ago whose remains are being returned to the convent. Okay, so you've got those two things. And then there is the mice plague that really happened in Australia during COVID. And when I tell you, so it's like almost like a Stephen King novel breaks out in the middle of this meditative, beautiful novel. But it's a real thing. I heard the author interviewed on NPR last week, and she talked about like because the interviewer was like, "Where'd you get the idea for the mouse plague, and how did you decide to include it in the novel?" Well, she got a call from a friend who lived in the part of Australia where they were having this terrifying. I can't imagine anything worse. And her friend told her about what was going on and how at one point it's nighttime, it's the middle of the night, and they hear a piano playing, and they know it's the mice. Um, so there is all kinds of things going on, but at the same time, it's about what does it mean to be a believer? How do we it's also Australia is on the cutting edge of climate change more than where we'll all be, but we just have to look at Australia. So it's about how do we live our lives in the face of something like climate change? Do we retreat? Do we resist? All these things. It's about forgiveness, grief, hope. It's fantastic. It's really one of the best novels of the year. So the Booker Prize judges said a fierce and philosophical interrogation of history, memory, nature, and human existence. New York Times gave it an absolute rave. So I think this is going to be a book that shows up on 10 best lists at the end of this year. I loved it. Stone Yard Devotional by Shelley.
That is one that's we were talking about books that I haven't read that I need to pick for book club, and that was one that, but it didn't come out in time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because I really want you to read this book because
I know
uh
it's on my list. Well, and I mean because uh, there's a few people at the store that have read it. Madeline being one, loved it.
yes, absolutely.
Um,
And it kind of snuck up on us because it was shortlisted for the Booker Prize. Then I think River had bought it and we dropped it in, and so it's great that booksellers are reading it and loving it.
yep. Um, okay, so
Yes.
there's
Oh, and this
great
she's
com
the author of The Weekend, which we
Yep.
published, which couldn't be more different, but she's a really talented writer.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to getting to that one for sure. Although now that I'm going to Winter Institute, though, my stack,
I
it's
know.
just like the stack does
And
this
there's no way
thing.
to I wish you could fit this in before Winter Institute otherwise.
I know. Otherwise, it's gonna pop back down again. It's just like,
I
oh my
bet it would
God,
be
that's
good on audio. I don't know how much you do,
oh,
but I bet it would be good on audio.
that's not a bad thought. Um, okay, Laura is the Weekend fan. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
There's a great conversation going on in the chat about color television
Oh,
and Percival
oh,
Everett,
fantastic.
and yeah, there's a great so yeah, how their kids write a paper at school being from those two parents. It's got to
Yes,
be
that's true.
crack up. It's like, yeah, I talk about paper envy or
Yes,
writing envy.
right.
It's just like, oh my God, can't even imagine. Okay, there it is on Libro. Okay, perfect.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Tom. Now I'm looking,
Yeah,
that
I
is
love
one
this.
that I do have. I kind of have like different stacks that mean different things that
Yeah.
are around my house. And there's like this like short stack, and it's in that short stack,
Yes,
but that
yes.
short stack still has like 5 books on it. So
Right, I know. And then there's an avalanche of books coming that you're gonna have to reshuffle things. So,
I know, I know. It's a good problem to have.
yes.
Good problem to have. Okay, Amanda, you got something you want to talk about today?
Sure. This came out last week from sure I don't know really Blair Publishing, but I do know the subject. This is the Book of Flaco, the world's most famous bird.
Okay.
And you may have heard of Flaco. So in 2023, uh, he lived at the zoo in New York, and in the middle of the night, someone broke in and cut a hole in his cage, and Flaco escaped. And Flaco suddenly was a huge celebrity, and he flew into Central Park and made his home in Central Park. And it kicked off this unprecedented social media blitz about a bird. And so this book is his story, and it's the story of the people who followed Flaco, unfortunately to his tragic end, which most people know if they remember Flaco. Um, so this book, I wanted to read a blurb on it from Mary Roach, one of my favorite science writers. So David Gessner writes beautifully with heart and honesty. This book is about an owl, sure, but more than that, it's about ourselves, about what we in our distracted, self-centric lives have lost, and occasionally in the unexpected presence of a wild creature are lucky enough to regain. Like Flaco himself, this book is an inspiration, an invitation to step outside ourselves, to leave the cage, as it were, and to connect to something pure and precious. Nature writing can have no worthier purpose. So the book is about a bird. It's about how he survived in Central Park. Um, but it's also very much about um, the people who became obsessed with him. It's about social media and the good and bad it does.
Mm.
And it's about our ideas about freedom, which are it's very topical right now and always, I suppose. And it was a really fun read, and very sad, but also very beautiful. So if you like burbs like me, I recommend The Book of Flacco.
What was the
Uh,
year that it was just like,
2023.
yes, I knew.
okay,
Okay,
it was
once you
When
recent.
told the story, it was coming back to me.
Yeah, February of 2023. Um, yeah, and that started the whole Odyssey. And a lot of people thought he needs to be recaptured and taken care of, because he's not necessarily a wild animal. Some people said, no, no, no. I mean, he's out and it would do him a disservice. And it was a big deal. It was
Yeah.
I yeah, I big social media sensation.
I
Um,
love G's on here saying, I want to read it just so she can post it on Twitter.
yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
and it's a lot about the author himself, his relationship with social media and um yeah, I think it's a really important book. And that's not actually clear when you look at the book. You think it's mostly just the story of this owl. But it's definitely sneakily a commentary on our information age and
interesting.
yeah, our lives online.
Super interesting. It's every time I see it, because I know you're a big crow fan too. I know you're birds in general, but crows. We have these crows, and I don't know what maybe what I'm thinking about it right now, but this morning, was it this morning or was it yesterday morning? So out my front window, on the because I live on the corner and it goes into a cul-de-sac, and these two crows were, and I have this little retaining wall, like the grass goes down, there's a little retaining wall. The two crows, they weren't walking on their chain, they were walking on the sidewalk, but they were so big that you could see their heads bobbing up and from it was like they were just strolling on the sidewalk, taking away. I was just like, oh, effing crows, man. They are just too
If it was
much.
if it was two and they were large, they might have been ravens because
Oh, okay.
yeah, you usually only see ravens either solitary or in their pair.
Yeah, there
And
were
if
two.
they're
There were definitely two, and they were big because they were tall enough to see over. Their heads were bobbing above the retaining wall as they were like walking down the street. It was, I mean,
I
the
had
retaining wall's not huge. I mean, the retaining wall's like, however,
I
but
have a quick sad crow story.
uh-oh.
Yeah. Over the weekend I saw a crow on the side of the road that appeared um
Ugh.
injured. And so I called the Humane Society and once they got here and tried to capture them, I don't know if the crow died of fright, but they passed as they were trying to catch him.
Oh,
And
he was
the guy said
probably
it
already like.
the guy said it might have been avian flu. So everyone watch out.
Um, I wasn't
I
prepared
wanted
for
I
that.
wanted
That was a
so bad to
twisted.
pet it.
That
That
was a
was a
twist at
twist
the end of
ending.
that
I didn't
story
see
I wasn't
coming.
prepared for either.
Yeah, it's a lot. The world is a
Oh
lot
my
right now.
God. No
Yeah.
kidding. Okay, wait a minute. I just watched the SNL 50th anniversary show last night. I'm not
Yeah.
going to call you Debbie Downer or anything. I mean,
But we all get the
Absolutely.
reference now.
Oh, I'm absolutely. That's me. At any gathering, I'm immediately
would have
like
been
bringing it
avian
down
flu.
several notches. Yeah.
I was with you. I mean, I was sad for the crow, but then the avian flu suddenly
Avian flu.
appeared.
I just like it's like Debbie Downer came into my brain and I heard
Oh
that wah
yeah. Debbie Downer
wah.
has entered the chat.
All right, we're getting way off topic here.
Yes, we
So
are.
we've talked about 2 books in a half hour. So okay, Tom.
How did we do that? How did we manage that?
I don't know.
So should I present
You
another
should go.
book and
Go.
then
Yep.
okay.
You go.
So Julie, you'll have to remind me. I mean, Jojo Moyes. Jojo Moyes
Yes.
has a new book.
Yep.
And since we started publishing Jojo Moyes, Warwick's has always, from in my territory especially, and I think around the country, been like the center of love for Jojo
Center of
Moyes.
JoJo Moyes universe.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the bookseller who I remember. Do you remember there was one particular bookseller, maybe before me, before you, who was completely obsessed with JoJo? She hasn't been.
Samantha, wasn't it Samantha?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
Anyway, so Jojo Moyes has a new book. It's out tomorrow, I think, or was it out last week? One of the two. And so she's kind of, since The Giver of Stars, she's kind of, the last two books, especially the last one, I think, um, have been more comic because she has a couple different modes and one of them is comic. And this is sort of a blend of the two, like more serious but also still funny. It's about a woman whose marriage is broken up. She has two daughters who, things aren't great. She seems successful on the outside, but think a lot of stuff's going on in her life that she feels like her life is falling apart. Then her elder, because her mother dies, her elderly stepfather moves in, and at the same time, her real dad, who she had kind of given up on many years ago, it says 35 years ago, suddenly appears at her doorstep. So I love books about found family. This is a book about found family. She's so overwhelmed with all this, the family that is now, the stepfather, the real father, her own kids. But of course, it turns out that this is the way things are meant to be. So getting really good early reviews. Kirkus calls it a moving, realistic look at one woman's post-divorce family life that manages to be both poignant and funny. So always a big deal. She's going to be a huge bestseller. We All Live Here by Jojo Moyes.
So this is how bad, because how she fell off my radar, which is not a good thing. I knew the book was coming, but it's like it wasn't like I didn't
Yeah,
put it into a time frame. And then
right.
I saw she's like on tour. She's going to be at Parnassus. So I was looking for where else I'm hoping she's not coming to the West Coast
I
because,
don't think she is, because if she
okay.
is, she has to. And we can agree she has to go. Warwick's has to be the stop. I don't
Yes.
know. Yeah, it's been a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, we hosted her. We've hosted her just about for everything except for there was one book before the last one, and we did host her for the virtual event for the last book because it was
Oh,
during
okay.
COVID.
Yeah.
So we did host her for the last book,
And and
virtually.
and also Giver of Stars before that, probably.
I don't think we did that.
Oh, okay.
I think that was the one that we didn't do.
Right. I think, and
Um,
that was set in Kentucky, I think.
Kentucky, and I
They
don't think
might
she
have,
came out to the West Coast.
right. They might have definitely focused on the East Coast,
Yeah, and
Midwest.
I think she stayed. I think she stayed in the middle of the country on
Right.
that one.
Right.
But yeah, no, we love JoJo. So,
Yeah. So,
but I couldn't find this is okay. This was something too, though. I looked. I couldn't find any place that told me where she was going on her tour. I mean, I tried hard.
Really?
Yeah, and her website only has the UK stops.
Oh.
So I was like,
Hmm.
because I was like, of course I have to get noticed. Because as soon as Ann Patchett said, "No, I'll be hosting," JoJo Boyce, and I'm like, I did my Scooby Doo, like, okay, where else is she going?
Yes, right.
That's not here,
Yeah. Anywhere else on the west of the
right?
Rockies?
I was like, what's happening here?
I don't
So
think so.
yeah. All right, Amanda, you got something else to tell us about that
Yeah, but
won't
now I'm
bring us
hesitant.
down?
I was gonna say this is even worse right here.
Maybe
But
on second thought. No, go ahead.
Noise machine. Wah, wah.
I do want to mention this because it's a very important book, especially if anyone, to people who are here that are San Diegans. And yeah, but it's a downer. No, not as bad as Dead Seals. No,
Oh.
no.
You're
Well,
in good company here, it seems like, Amanda.
it's pretty dark, okay? So if anyone here is a true crime person, this might interest you. This is Reap the Whirlwind: Violence, Race, Justice, and the Story of Sagon Penn by Peter Houlihan. Um,
This
so
is
this
not a
actually
good
came
book for
out,
me. My husband knows this family that was
yeah.
murdered. It's
So
bad.
it came out last year, and it kind of passed me by. I didn't see, and it does come out in paperback in July if anyone is interested and wants to wait. But there was this terrible occurrence in the 80s in San Diego, in Southeast San Diego, where seven black men were in a car, and they were stopped by the police, and it went very, very bad. And ended up one person ended up shooting the police and someone who's riding along with them and hijacking the police car and leaving the scene.
Wow.
And this person who did it was a pacifist. It was not at all something that was in anyone's mind that they could have done previous to this incident happening. So this is absolutely not my kind of book. Okay, I was having heart palpitations reading about the incident, but I kept reading because it's so important in understanding why San Diego is the way it is in a lot of ways, why our city is laid out in the way it's laid out. Um, if you're interested at all in San Diego's legal system and our our police in San Diego and our prosecutors and legal processes in San Diego. And it's so well written. It 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 reads like fiction, even though it's all true. So if you're into true crime, if you're into the history of San Diego, super important book, Reap the Whirlwind by Peter Houlihan.
Wow.
And it does come out in paperback in July. We're like right in the middle of hardcover and paperback.
Yeah, hard when that happens. Yeah,
Who's
Yeah,
the
but I wanted to
publisher?
mention it now because it's been on my mind.
I think it's Har. Is it Harper? Is it a Harper book?
It's Counterpoint.
Oh,
Oh,
Counterpoint. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um.
I forget.
Yeah, I'm gonna not comment because
Does
it's
Penguin does Penguin
we
distribute?
distribute Counterpoint.
distributed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Oh, Beth found JoJo's tour info.
Oh,
Oh, there
great.
you go. Good job, Beth. I
Excellent.
went to Penguin, but I couldn't find it. All right.
I'm happy to see that it's there because that's kind of disturbing if the
Yeah,
book's about
no,
to
and
come
I
out.
looked. I wonder if it just popped up though. Only 4 locations. Okay. There we go.
Hmm.
I
All
know.
righty.
Hopefully they're all back east
Yeah.
around around
We're
Tennessee.
gonna open that little document up right now and check it out. And it looks like they are.
Okay, good.
So all is good.
Okay, good.
All is right in the world. Um, yeah. So, yep, New York, Tennessee, North Carolina, and New Hampshire.
But
So,
I think we can all agree she should come back west.
yeah, we'll get her back west. Maybe
Yeah,
the next one or paperback.
yeah,
Okay. We got some lightning round, Tom.
I do.
Okay.
So this is out tomorrow, I believe. Yeah, it's February 18th. I've lost track of where we
Me
are.
too. Yes, it is the 18th
The
tomorrow.
Garden, Nick Newman, which I know, Julie, you read not that long ago, like a few
No,
weeks ago.
this is still fresh in my little noggin here.
Yes, so it is, and I found it, and I am not a one sitting read person normally, but this is almost a one sitting read for me
Yep.
because you are thrust into this world of two elderly sisters living basically in the kitchen of a house, right?
Right.
And blocked off from the rest of the world. They are very foggy on their past. We don't really know what happened outside the walls of the house. Um, so it's spooky, it's eerie, it's fascinating. I thought it was really, really good. Just a
It
great.
was really good. I equated it to Shirley Jackson meets Emily St. John Mandel.
That's perfect. Yeah, because I know the author Nick Newman, who I met at we had a pre-pub party, and really nice young guy, and he is a bookseller. I think either former or currently a bookseller at Daunt Books in London,
Mhm.
um, and he's very steeped in literature. So Shirley Jackson was very much on his mind, and even. Although I didn't really feel it, but even The Road, Cormac McCarthy's The Road. Did you feel that?
I didn't feel that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
there might have been a little bit. There might have been like one little scene in there that now that I'm thinking back, that might have,
maybe. Yeah.
but it's
Um,
nothing what you think it's going to be
yes. Yes.
at
Yes.
all.
Yes.
And it's still to this day, though, Tom, and we might have to have an offline conversation about it. the end. Where are we?
I know, I
Where
know.
are we at the end of this book?
I know. Even revisiting, I checked because I was thinking about that today. I was like, let me go back and reread that last section. And even still, I'm a little
It's like, where are
uneasy and
we?
unsure.
It's
Yes.
like, where are we at the end of this book? It's
Yes.
great. It's a great book.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's you're reading along and you're going, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
that just
Yeah.
happened.
Right. And it's haunting. It's a haunt it's
Oh
not
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
it's not sci-fi, it's not horror,
No,
it's not
there's a little bit of horror in there,
I guess so,
just a little bit.
but I guess
But it's not a horror book. I
I'm
wouldn't
not a
call it a
reader of
horror book.
horror, so
Right.
yeah, so
I wouldn't call it a
it's
horror
horror
book.
adjacent, I guess.
Yes, yes, yes.
But anybody who just likes good literary fiction, I think this would be a good book for it.
Yeah.
Just about anybody. So, The Garden, Nick Neiman.
I know. I think I put on my post on Instagram. It's like, don't let the cover fool you. This is
Yeah,
not like this
exactly.
pretty. We're not in this pretty little garden.
Right,
that's
even with
happening.
the title, don't let the title or the
Don't let
cover.
the card title, the cover. I might have to have some talks about the people who put that cover with that title. It's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, that's right.
What's happening? All right, Amanda, you got a fast one real quick, because then I think if we have a few minutes, I think I'm going to bring Darcy on if you got a
Yeah.
quick one.
Yeah. Um, this is stupidly early to be talking about this book. I apologize, but I just read it and we're going to be hosting the author. So I just wanted to quickly mention, I am not generally a thriller mystery reader, but Julie Clark's The Ghostwriter, we're going to be hosting her in June when the book comes out. And this was good. This one kept me guessing. I find that I'm kind of jaded when I read mystery.
Yeah.
Same way.
Yeah, and it's really hard to keep me reading. But I read this pretty much in one sitting, and it's also a family drama, so it explores the problems of our memories being very malleable and not
Yes.
necessarily to be trusted. And just a really good book. Her other books, her number one, she's had a couple of really big bangers, but this is the first I'd read of her, and I was really impressed. So, The Ghostwriter
When does
by
that
Julie
come?
Clark. It comes out June. I think we're hosting her on launch day, maybe
I
perhaps
don't know.
June
I don't
3rd
remember
or
that. I don't remember
yeah,
that.
June 3rd.
Oh, okay. We are doing a
Yeah,
launch
I'm
day.
pretty
Okay.
sure that's when we're host or yeah, June 3rd. So
Okay.
yeah, she'll be in the store at Warwick's.
That is definitely one of those books that I mean, I got a galley of that at Kaliba in the fall. And it's another one that's on
Wow.
the short list. Not on the
Yeah.
short list, but it's on the short list. It's like I want
Yeah.
to get to that because it does look
It
like it
sounds
was
good.
because she wrote what was the other one? I was going to bring Darcy on to talk about Libra, but we're going to do that another time. So,
The Last Flight was probably her first big one, and then The Lies I Tell.
no, I think it was The Last Flight. I think that was I don't remember.
Yeah.
What was her first book? Was The Last Flight her first book? Because her first one kind of made a big splash.
Yeah, I think it was The Last Flight.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the story is there's this murder in the 70s of two teenagers in the same family, and uh everyone thinks that it was the middle child who committed this murder, and then
Always the middle child.
of course, and then fast forward years later, the daughter of the middle child is a ghostwriter, and she is in some bad financial straits and decides to take a job that she can't refuse. And the job is ghostwriting a book for her father, the middle child, who wants only to hire her to help him ghostwrite this book. They've been estranged. So she finds out slowly, like, oh, she's not ghostwriting a novel for him because he's a famous novelist. She's ghostwriting his memoir. He wants to set the record straight of what happened.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so
Really?
it's really good. It'll definitely it held my attention. I didn't put it down until I was done with it. So
That's great.
Very good. All right.
oh
Well,
yeah,
we have some.
Darcy.
What's
Yeah,
that?
Darcy's coming to our event tomorrow.
Oh, good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the Golden
So
State
I was
book.
just going to talk about some events that we got going on. So we've got Michael Hilzick, who will be here tomorrow night talking about
Oh,
Golden
that's the
State.
Golden State, right?
Golden State, that's getting a lot of attention. And so I think that's going to be a really, really interesting event tomorrow night. And then on Wednesday, I don't have the real cover, but because I've got a bound galley because I got an early one. But Christy Clancy. So if you're in the mood for something um, the Snowbirds, they're a couple from Minnesota that moved to Palm Springs, and the husband wanders off one day and doesn't come back, and in the hills of Palm Springs, and this whole like what's their marriage and what's it all about. So and Christy's just a doll. So she'll be in
Mhm.
conversation on Wednesday with Jason Blitman with Gaze Reading, who I adore. So Jason will be with us on Wednesday. And then Friday is Geraldine Brooks,
Yes.
Memorial Days.
I was thinking I would try to come down, but I just don't think I can.
Can't
But
get down here for it.
that's going
Yeah.
to be fantastic.
Yeah, cannot wait. She'll be in conversation with Dr. Jillian Tullis from from USD, which will be a really great conversation too. So can't wait for that. And then off to Winter Institute, which is the only good thing about Winter Institute. Well, I shouldn't say it that way, but the only good thing about Winter Institute is the weather's going to be good.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what the only good thing
That's
about it is.
not it's not how I meant to say that. The good thing, because usually Winter Institute picks winter locations because they're
Oh yeah.
supposedly cheaper. So we have frozen in Baltimore, we froze in Minnesota. Um,
Cincinnati,
Kansas
Kansas
City, we
City.
ended up having to
Albuquerque.
leave. Albuquerque wasn't horrible though, was it? As far as cold?
I
I mean, it
wouldn't
was
think.
snowing. It was
Oh,
Yeah,
was
snowing.
it?
I don't remember it being, I don't know. I just remember landing in Albuquerque and at the airport saying the land of enchantment. And I was like, really?
It's on the license plate.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not
It's
not to
awesome.
offend anybody from New Mexico. Not doing that. I was just kind of I found that kind of fun. Um, but
But you don't mind offending the people of Kansas,
oh
Ohio.
yeah, no. Kansas, Minnesota. Sorry, everybody. Sorry, Beth, in Minnesota. It was freezing in February in Minnesota. I mean, I have never been that cold.
Yeah,
In Kansas City, though, I left early because there was a giant blizzard coming in
right. I
that they
remember.
expected to sock people in for like 3 days. And it was just like, oh, I can't get stuck here. I gotta
So where
go.
are you going on Sunday?
Denver.
Oh, nice. That'll be nice.
So Denver can either be sub-zero
Yeah.
or it's going to be like 54 degrees.
Yeah. When it's like that, there's nothing. It's the most beautiful place in the world.
Right. Thank you, global warming.
Yeah.
February in yeah, Minnesota was like 16. Yes, my daughter lives in Chicago. It's minus 14 today in Chicago. So I thank you for not taking offense, Beth. Because minus 16, it's like, although we're never really outside. So it's not like we're
Yeah.
hiking. It's not like we're hiking around the cities, for God's sakes, but
But
still.
Denver will be nice.
Yeah, Denver will be nice.
So is that
So
the
that
only good thing that you were talking about? The
No,
weather?
I said it the wrong way. I meant to
Okay.
say that one of the good things is that the weather where we're going is going to
Got
be
it. Got it.
very pleasant.
Got it.
Not the only. They tried to did they try to have it in Cleveland one year?
Yeah,
And it
that
got
was
canceled, right?
yep, that was COVID's fault.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or was that Cincinnati though?
Or wait.
I
It
think
was
they did.
Cincinnati.
Didn't they do
Oh
Cincinnati? I thought
yeah.
it was in
Yeah, because
Cincinnati.
it was supposed to be in Cincinnati and it got canceled because of COVID, and then they redid it in
Oh,
Cincinnati, I think. So I don't think that it's ever been considered to go to Cleveland. We went to New Orleans one year, for goodness sakes. Can we
Oh
bring that
man.
back?
yeah, really.
I
Wow.
mean, that
That's
was
fun.
amazing.
Yeah.
That we did, Sneeko. Adrian and I did do a little bit of, I think we could skip this session and do a little exploring on the side here. Oh, I love it. All right,
Well,
everybody.
I hope maybe we can get you in next week, Julie.
Yeah, I think I might be able to. I have to see, let me scope out the hotel and the Wi-Fi situation and where I just have to figure out where
Yeah.
our dinner is from, because I think my dinner's early. I think it's a 6 o'clock dinner. So I've got to be able to scope out getting from the hotel
Oh
to the
yeah.
dinner place. So if it's like really if it's close within downtown, I should be able to come in because I would love to
Cool.
do one in the lobby again with everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
that's
awesome.
fun. And
And
then you'll come back with lots of idea, like telling us what's coming from everyone.
so many, probably so many good books. That's what I love about it. So, all right, everybody, happy reading. If you're in San
Yes.
Diego, please join us for some wonderful. Let me tell you what, Amanda knows. I've been booking them like crazy. We've got some amazing stuff happening this
It's been
spring.
like playing asteroids, trying to shoot all the aliens, and they keep coming faster and faster. It's like,
They keep dropping. I've been booking a lot of stuff,
That's
so it's been
yeah.
fantastic.
fun. All right, Darcy, we'll
Bye,
get you on here
everyone.
one of these days talking about Libro. So,
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd
yeah,
like to know.
sounds good. All right.
Everyone.
Okay, everybody,
Bye.
happy reading.